I love this little parable. It's one of my favourite bits of John's Gospel. John's Gospel is very complicated. I can't get my head around it. It is my most and least favourite Gospel. But he doesn't do parables, John. All those stories we know about the lost pearl and the Good Samaritan, all of those bits, they're in the other Gospels. John doesn't do this. So it's interesting that he puts this one in. I think this parable tells us something about Jesus and something about us, Jesus' flock. Being a flock is not about us being individuals. We think a lot about being individuals, but actually this reminds us that we are together. We're a community. We're interdependent. There is famously in another gospel a parable about a lost sheep. The one sheep goes up on its own. Maybe it was annoyed with the other 99 because they were getting on its nerves. You can understand that if you've been in a flock. But Jesus grabs it and makes it go back with the rest of the 99. Perhaps that's one of the lessons of that story. We are supposed to be together, to depend on each other, to work with each other. I always love it when ancient wisdom, things that Jesus talked about or that religious communities have worked out over the years, overlaps and is reinforced by good modern science. There's a book at the minute that is on the list of books that glares at you saying, read me next, and it's too big. It's called Join or Die. And it's a contemporary science book by a guy who's talking about how society has become a bit fractured. People aren't joining things anymore, and we need to be together. We are opting for frictionless ways of interacting. We heard this term, frictionless. So frictionless ordering on Deliveroo or Uber Eats is you can call for your food and you give the person a code and they will bring it to your doorstep and you can see them on the Ring doorbell and tell them the code and never have to talk to the person who either made or delivered your food. Completely without somebody getting away. Frictionless. Joyless. You can beep your own shopping at Sainsbury's and Asda and Lidl and places rather than talking to somebody. I don't think that is frictionless because I always still need to ask somebody for help. But the point is that you can opt for that, to not have to interact with people. People would rather generally sit in the quiet coach on the train. And to some extent because we wouldn't want to have to talk to people or other people to talk to us. It's permission to not interact. When all the science shows, they did this experiment, they gave people a small amount of money and said, right, your job is to go and talk to somebody else every morning on the bus or train to work this week. And they asked them, how awkward are you going to find this? And how awkward do you think the other person's going to find it? And people thought, it's going to be very awkward. Okay, we'll do it anyway. And actually, they chased up with both parties, and afterwards, people found it less awkward and more enjoyable, whichever end of that conversation you were. We think that other people are going to be annoying, and maybe they are, but they're not as annoying as we think, and we are blessed by being with them. And there is good science that we do better as a flock. We've bought the lie that other people are just a problem. And it's not what Jesus says, and it's not what the rest of the Bible says. There's a lovely bit in one of Paul's letters, I forget which one, but it says, practice hospitality without grumbling. A sort of acknowledgement that sometimes when you are called to practice hospitality, you might wish to grumble, but that it's good for us to do it anyway, and in the end, it leads to less grumbling, because it's not as bad as we think it's going to be. All of which is to say that church is one of the best ways of being a flock. This is one of the best places of being with people who are different to you. We shouldn't be surprised. I mean, this church is nearly 900 years old in its current form, these old stones. But if, for some awful reason, it fell down tomorrow and was struck by lightning, this church would still exist, right? If all of these stones mysteriously disappeared, St. Wilfrid's would still be here because it is you and me. It is us. It is the living stones. We just start again and we'd have more storage space and underfloor heating. The church is made of the living stones. And it's really good. The only thing that brings us all here is that you want to come to church. So church is a really good way of being with people who are not quite like you. We have this innate urge to be with people who are like us because that's easier. It's called homophily. Good Greek word, meaning people, being with people like me. And I suppose that's okay and it's normal and natural. The problem is when being with people like us also means being mean or rude about people who are not like us and cutting ourselves off from them. That's the problem. In here, you will be stuck with people who are not like you are in your family. And church is going to be very annoying, and you're welcome. It's good for you. I apologize when it's me. Try and pay attention for when it's you. I guess you don't notice, do you? This church, on a different note, is amazing for another reason. I talk to vicars, and when they complain about their churches, which I never do, but occasionally some vicars do, and it's because 99% of the work is done by 1% of the people. Nobody's doing anything. That is not the case here. I think there is a much higher ratio of the doing of stuff to the people who do it here than any other church I've been in. The number of people who volunteer in some way, who give of their time to make this work on Sundays and through the week is astonishingly high. There's always room for more, but it's really good that we do that. And we're going to spend the next 3 weeks thinking about what we do here in church. Other stuff too, but we're going to do what we call time and talent. We do this every couple of years. And we're doing it now. We're going to think about this. So I'm going to be talking to the various people who do things in this church community, who make it work, and you are going to hear it and go, oh, I could do that. Oh, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Or, oh, my friend would be really good at that. You should do that. You'd be really good at that. It's a chance for us to refresh our commitment of time and talent to the work of this church in this community. I said something at the beginning that this parable tells us something about us as a flock, but also something about Jesus. Something I noticed this week. Jesus says he is the gate. Not just the gatekeeper, not just the shepherd. He's the physical gate, which is a weird thing for him to have said. But he's the way people get both in and out of this sheep pen, sheepfold. We have sheep pens in Yorkshire. You see them made up of dry stone walls up on the hills above Ilkley. They're not always full of sheep, right? You put the sheep in at night and lock them in, keep them safe, and then you let them out. One of Jesus' jobs is not just to gather us in so we can be with each other and learn, but also he kicks us out to graze and gambol and eat and gradually become jumpers and lamb chops. But it's perhaps not the end of the metaphor that works best for us. But sheep are released to get stuff done, not just to be shut in and stay together. You have probably heard me say this a few times before, but there's a thing about being saved in church. We often talk about being saved by Jesus, but it is only half the story. We are saved, we are loved, and we are called. We are saved for something. We are called to something. You're not just brought into the kingdom of God and then left awkwardly at the door by the back of church. You're called in and said, brilliant, now you're in, here. This is a thing for you. Elsewhere, at the end of this passage, Jesus said, I have come that they might have life in all its fullness. It's a whole long phrase, and in Greek it's just one word. It's zoe. It means life in all its fullness, abundant life. It doesn't mean what you get when we talk about it at funerals. It's not just a life after death. It is life now. Abundant life is going to be the doing of stuff in the kingdom with God, for God. And wherever you are with faith, whatever you think of Jesus, this is true for you. We often talk about calling, and Lizzie and I and Kim, who've been been through the complicated process of saying, what is it to be ordained, and have conversations with bishops. We have quite a theological perspective on calling. But I think all of us are called. One of the most helpful ways I was ever shown to think about calling was, you're familiar with Venn diagrams, the overlapping circles that show you stuff. If you have imagine one circle of things I like to do, and one of things I am good at doing, and the needs of the world. Like, what does my local community, what does the world need that it's blessed by? Where all three of those overlap, that's your calling. If you can find something that you like doing, are good at doing, and that is making the world a better place, that's your calling. And that could be at work, it could be at church, it could be any number of places. I think it's really important. I want us all to think about where we are with God, and not just in church, in your whole life. You are called also, not just to do the jobs on here, but to be a good colleague, a good parent, a good football coach, a good child, a son or a daughter, perhaps a good husband or wife or parent, a good friend or landlord or accountant or nurse or cleaner or crackling. A good marketing executive, a good violinist, a good secretary, a good jeweler. I could go on. We could do everybody. You are called to do that as if Jesus was doing it. We're going to find those things. But for the next few weeks, we're going to think specifically about what we're called to do here in church. So I want to have a bit of a chat with some people who do some things here. Some of these people I've spoken to in advance and they know that I'm coming. If I start coming towards you and I haven't asked you yet, then maybe you're stuck with it. But I'll try and pick people who are going to be comfortable with this. What is it that you do? The question is, what do you do here? Why do you do it? Why do you like doing it? And how do you find it? Lisa, you are on Team Warden for us. Take this. What do you do on Team Warden, Lisa?
We are at the back and we count everybody that's here. We set up communion and put the communion away. We make sure there's enough bread at communion, and just lock up and just generally help where needed. Sort
of the bits that we can't do at the front, somebody has to get done, and you make sure that all just gets done on Sunday mornings.
Yes.
How do you find doing that?
It's fine, yeah. I think, you pretty much do the service as normal and just extra little bits before and after.
So it doesn't distract you too much from still being at church?
No.
How long did it take you to get used to doing it?
I think I'm still getting used to doing it.
Still getting used to it.
But it's not a complicated thing to do.
Okay, it's a manageable thing.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And you're happy that you're doing it?
Yes.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Lisa. So Team Warden. Currently on Team Warden at the back there is Fiona, who's one of our actual wardens, which is different. The blessing of Team Warden is that for a couple of years after Sandra and Dan stepped down, we had no wardens. And it took 17 people to do their jobs. I'm aware I've wandered well off the camera now. 17 people. And then when Fiona and Brenda stepped back into it, somebody said, does that mean we can step down as Team Warden? And I said, no, you're stuck with, you can always step down. But that meant that Fiona and Brenda, who are our wardens now, don't have to sit at the back every Sunday and get everything done. Other people take care of that, although sometimes they take their share. So Fiona, you're now warden whilst Team Warden is working. Why are you doing it, and how do you find being a warden?
Well, I retired from my NHS job and I thought, maybe I could do something else. And then obviously God had prompted you, Rob, because you kept saying, Fiona, why don't you be a warden? Why don't you be a warden? And I thought, I should be a warden. Yes, I've got the time. And then thankfully, God prompted Brenda, and Brenda said, I feel called to be a warden again. And that was just fantastic because she's got so much knowledge and skills, and it's made my job so easy. So
you didn't really want to do it?
Didn't really want to do it, but I'm doing it and I'm enjoying it, and we have our team meeting every Monday. I've found out loads of things about the church that I didn't know before, and the churchyard, which is one of my passions, sort of looking after the Victorian churchyard. So yeah,
you're enjoying being at the heart of things.
Yes, yeah.
And you're not even here every Sunday anymore. No. You were away last week.
Yes, I'm going away again, yes.
Away, because that works now for
yes.
Team Warden, which is brilliant. And we're really happy to have you. Thank you very much. You've done lots of other jobs. People could talk to you about being on PCC or PCC secretary, things like that. We might talk to you about being at Barn Babies, though. You've been running that for a while now.
Yes, 28 years, yeah.
And who runs that? Who does that with you?
Naomi steps in if I'm away to do the singing slot, because surprisingly nobody wants to do the singing slot. And then Sally Littlejohn, who helps with What's the Story and other children's activities, she helps me every week. And then I've got a great refreshment team that are all ex-Barn Babies mums, but I'm always needing more people on my refreshment team. So it's just once every 6 weeks, just preparing the refreshment. So if anybody's free on a Thursday, once every 6 weeks, that would be fab if
okay.
Yeah.
So Barn Babies is great. It's a toddler's thing. Thursday mornings in the barn, and you would, if people are called to join in with you, either because they love the little ones or they feel obliged to join in with you and don't mind doing it. If they're able to help with refreshments, that would be a blessing to us. See Fiona. And we're going to talk to other people about different jobs, but you do What's the Story and things like that.
And Open the Book with Margaret leading that.
And Open the Book.
And that's really good fun. If you like acting and making a bit of a fool of yourself, it's fantastic.
That's true. That's a great... Who else? Quite a few of us in Open the Book and What's the Story and dressing up. Who's been involved in that? I've seen you. Well done. Find out about that. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Fiona. I'll see for... Can you take this up to Mark?
I can.
And I'm going to fill. Mark's at the back. We don't hear from the people at the back, but Mark is new to doing the AV. So I'm going to ask him the same questions, because you'll be aware that Toby stepped down. It took 17 people to replace 2 wardens. So far, it's taken 6 people to replace Toby, and we could use a few more. Mark, why are you doing the AV stuff?
It seemed like a good way to help out. I've just noticed my microphone's too loud, sorry. So still getting used to things. It seemed like a good way to help out, and it was interesting because it's the thing in the background that you don't see. There's little bits and pieces I've sort of tried to do, and this one felt like it fit. And although it was quite intimidating from the outside, actually doing it is relatively straightforward, he says, having messed up a little bit at the start there, but it happens. And yeah, it's been fine. It's quite nice as well doing it with other people when we get the opportunity to. It's nice to do something jointly as well, and yeah, it's gone okay.
How often are we asking you to do it?
I've done it last week and this week, but maybe once a month on average.
About once a month?
On average, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're pressing all the buttons.
Yeah.
If you have someone next to you doing the sliders for the microphones...
Oh yeah,
that's
the easy bit's that. And if somebody's doing that, that's brilliant, because it's dead easy. It's just pressing buttons on and off for microphones, and it's great. That's the really straightforward bit. And then you can learn the other bit while you're doing that.
So that's a real blessing to us, actually. And we've got 5 or 6 people ready to learn the slides. But if you know what a button is and can take instructions, press 1, slide this, then you can be the person sat next to them, and it's helpful for you to not have to do
Very
all
much.
of the things. Is that right?
Yeah.
So do you want, if anybody is called, after we finish this little bit, because it might be a bit intimidating, but if you are physically capable of pressing a button and would like to learn, then go on up after this, and you can sit next to Mark and learn about buttons and sliders and microphones. I would like there to be 20 people who are happy to be called on when one of our more proficient and thoroughly trained people are doing this. They go, oh, well, I'll go and help. Victoria's one of these people. She's done a little bit of this. But if you would like to learn how to do that, go and sit with Mark the rest of the service. That'd be a blessing to us. Thank you very much. 1 or 2 other people to talk to. Oh, Fiona, you've come down with it already. Who else was I going to ask about what they do? Kim, can I ask you a couple of things?
You didn't prepare me, though.
You do being on PCC.
I do being on PBCC, yeah.
What do you do with being on PCC?
I attend a Monday meeting 10 times a year, so it's like meant to be like one a month, but it's about 10 times a year, isn't it? And make decisions on this place, yeah. It's quite nice to know, like, different things about what's going on in church. Obviously, by coming and things, you don't know everything that happens and things. It's quite nice to just, be involved, make decisions, that kind of thing.
Gives you a sense of ownership of what's going on?
Yeah, exactly that, yeah.
Okay. And how many hours do you spend reading the things for these PCCs?
Sometimes I have read it on the way to the meeting, which is Kim's usual style. It doesn't take very long. Do you know, like, obviously you can get the minutes, like, the week before, so you can read through those. Some of them are a bit longer if you need to make different choices on and bigger things. But I have, like I say, it's not time consuming in that sense. I can do it on the way here.
That's 10 times a year on a Monday night.
Indeed.
And 1 or 2 people are stepping down. We need a few more people to be on PCC. If you can do that, you need to be already on the electoral roll and have been, for that, you need to be a baptised person in the church community, and we would happily have you. If that's what you're called to do, let me know. What else was it? Oh, well, you do Hope.
I do Hope, yes.
Hope
is an anagram for helping other people eat within our lovely community. So if someone's had like a recent birth, a death, or just having a particularly bad time, Hope cooks meals for those families. So people get in contact with me, and I have like a little team of cooks, and together we provide meals for families just to bless them with food if they are going through a tough time. So if you would like to be a cook, it's not a weekly thing. Like sometimes it's just a couple of times a year. Or if you're not available when I message, then obviously I can go on to the next person and things like that. Equally, if you know somebody that is struggling with the village, then it's on my email and things, and it'll be on the news email and stuff all the time. Like you can contact me at Hope, and
Brilliant.
get in touch.
Brilliant. I'm going to draw it to a close there, but there are probably some more conversations for us to have with people who do different things. But you've heard about wardening. This morning we heard from Vivian, who's our sacristan. So she lays up the table for the first service when we have communion. We don't have him do that for the second service. Team warden do it. But it is somebody's job to prayerfully and respectfully make sure the silverware is out and the wine and things like that. Maybe that's something you're called to. We heard from Shirley. She was telling us about the intercessions. I asked her, do you enjoy it? And she said, no. But she loves that she does it. It's what we call type 2 fun. Sometimes you've done something difficult and hard and you didn't enjoy it, but you were glad you did. And she talked about how she enjoys doing that. We heard from somebody who reads. There are lots of things that are done here in church, and there'll be a chance for you to explore with all of those people. At some point, I'm going to ask Richard why on earth he preaches for us, and how you might get into that and where it's going. But I'll probably give you a bit more notice for that sort of a thing. Lots of jobs that we do here. What is it that you're called to do here? I very much doubt that it's nothing, because it takes all of us. It takes the flock. Some of us, our time of physical activity perhaps draws to a close after a bit. You do less than you used to, don't you, Val? And it gets on your nerves. Are you still praying for us? Do you still faithfully sit next to people and ask them how they are? That'll do for me, right? But actually, you're still able to do the intercession sometimes because we can give you the microphone and it's not that hard. Let's make sure everybody can hear you.
The thing is with intercessions with me, now I'm old, I can't read my own writing. So I have to send them to somebody to be typed out for me. And then they bring them to church. But I can't always get here now, so somebody will have to read them out. But it's quite easy intercessions. I have a book which helps me. So don't be frightened, do it.
Do it. And if that's the thing that you're called to do, think, no, actually, I know how to pray, I can do that, then we can sort out some training and help you. Lots of jobs here at church. I'm going to ask everybody to take one of these away with you, and we've got sheets for joining the PCC and joining the electoral roll, and have a think and go, what is it that I'm called to do here? And maybe it's not even now. Last year somebody said, I think I will be a warden. I'm not going to do it yet. I've got kids at home. It's going to be 10 years, but I'll do that. Like, when's it going to be your turn to do a thing? It's not always now, but there's a thing for all of us. And we're doing all right. You're a good flock. Well done.